from day one.
But is it difficult? Is it a complicated process, you think?
It is, of course, yeah. It involves countries, it involves intelligence services, Interpol, etc.
So right now there's no confirmation he's even in China or not?
No, I can't comment for now.
So far, Dato' Sri, has any country come forward to help out or maybe
countries
agree?
are cooperating. I mean, countries that we are in touch is giving the support.
The Health Ministry has recorded a slight increase in COVID-19 infections from April 23rd to 29th. Health Director General Dato' Dr. Muhammad Razi Abu Hassan says there were 4,963 cases during this period, a 3% hike from the week before.
According to Razi, the Crisis Preparedness and Response Centre also recorded a rise in COVID-19 patients at public health facilities. As of May 4th, about 15% of all ICU beds in the country were occupied for COVID-19, while another 23% were for non-critical patients. Razi said the ministry predicted a further increase in cases following the Hari Raya Aidilfitri and Wesak Day celebrations. He urged the public to wear face masks as they visit friends and family throughout the rest of the festive season. He also recommended all students, teachers and school personnel to practice the prescribed standard operating procedures to curb infections.
Schools nationwide have been instructed to stop all outdoor activities amid the hot spell. Education Minister Farhana Sheikh says her ministry issued a circular regarding the ban, which came into effect on Wednesday.
The ban covers all outdoor activities, including sports, camping and cross-state events. Farhana said the circular involved both morning and afternoon school sessions, where lessons must be fully conducted inside classrooms. The Education Ministry had earlier issued special permission for students and teachers to wear sports attire in light of the hot weather. Meanwhile, students who opt to wear their usual uniforms will not be required to wear ties.
In other news, Transport Minister Anthony Loke will meet global tech companies, including Facebook and Google, as part of the government's review of the cabotage policy. The policy review includes allowing foreign vessels to repair undersea cables in Malaysian waters.
Loke said businesses require clarity and certainty on policies to help them make more investment decisions in Malaysia. The meetings with tech companies, he said, were intended to reassure foreign investors about Malaysia's future policies. His ministry recently announced that it is working to reinstate exemptions granted to non-Malaysian vessels conducting undersea cable repairs. The exemptions were introduced by Loke in 2019 in his first stint as Transport Minister to facilitate faster undersea cable repairs and maintenance work. However, the exemptions were reversed the following year by his successor, Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong, under the Perikatan Nasional-led government, prompting concerns that it could affect foreign investments.
Bank Negara recently raised its overnight policy rate, or OPR, by 25 basis points to 3%. Dr. Carmelo Felito, CEO of the Centre for Market Education, explains the reasoning behind the move and addresses concerns that people might have.
I do believe that Bank Negara decided to go for another round of OPR hike because when weighing the two main factors at play, the risk of an economic slowdown and the persistence of inflationary pressures, they probably consider the second element, inflationary pressures, be more a source of concern when compared to the first one. And indeed, they mentioned that the reduction of unemployment may bring people to spend more money in consumption, and therefore this may bring more pressures on consumer prices. Therefore, they think that this is an element that is important to control. There is a concern about the additional costs that this measure could have on businesses and consumers, in particular for people that have a loan for their car, for their house, and etc. And I do understand this concern, but I want to make a little bit a step back, because otherwise we risk to tackle the matter in an ideological and populistic way. The purchasing power of people was eroded by inflation is not eroded by an increase in the OPR. The increase in the OPR is somehow a necessary and costly measure that we need to adopt if we want to seriously tackle inflation. So I invite the people to take this measure positively as a serious attempt to tackle inflation. And while this measure could be painful, to tackle inflation means also to try to restore purchasing power of the people. So it is something that has long-term benefits.
So, will the OPR be raised again in the near future? Dr. Carmelo said that would very much depend on how the economy progresses, taking into account global pressures as well.
The likelihood of another hike depends very much on the evolution of the economy. Bank Negara has been very clear on that. They will evaluate moment by moment how the economy progress, and if they feel that the economy is on the right track, is normalizing, and we have more to fear from further price tensions than from economic slowdown, they may go for a further hike, also looking at what happened overseas, in particular in the United States with the Federal Reserve. While if the global uncertainty, geopolitical tensions will prevail and create more tensions on the general evolution of the economy, they may decide to pause.
We will go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Kita mana? Bau badan? Kumanlah puncanya. Gunakan mandian badan Lifebuoy Coconut dan Cool Fresh. Ia memberikan 12 jam kesegaran dan melindungi daripada kuman punca bau badan. Lifebuoy Coconut dan Cool Fresh. Selamat Hari Raya, ku ucapkan semua. Bukalah hati dan kita raikan bersama. Selamat Hari Raya, ku ucapkan semua. Bukalah hati, hari yang dinanti sudah tiba. Rela membuka hati.
Welcome back. A 6.5 magnitude earthquake has jolted the Ishikawa prefecture in Japan, leaving 1 dead and 21 injured. No tsunami warning was issued, but the meteorological agency has confirmed sea level changes of around 10 centimeters in the area. The quake registered an upper 6, the second highest level on Japan's intensity scale, near the city of Suzu, which sits around 290 kilometers from Tokyo. It has also caused damage to several buildings in the area. Authorities say the level of shaking could make it impossible to remain standing or move without crawling. They also warn that further quakes of a similar strength could follow in the next 3 days. Eight people were killed and 14 others wounded in Serbia's second mass shooting in 2 days. Police say the suspect has since been arrested.
The latest incident occurred on Thursday night in the village of Dubona, located 42 kilometers south of Belgrade. State media reported that a 20-year-old boy was initially involved in an altercation in a schoolyard. He left and later returned with an assault rifle and a handgun, where he then opened fire and continued to shoot at people randomly from a moving car. Among the victims were an off-duty policeman and his sister. The Balkan nation began 3 days of official mourning on Friday for the victims of Wednesday's mass shooting. On that day, a 13-year-old boy shot dead 9 people and injured 7 others at a school in Belgrade before turning himself in to authorities.
Majority surveys show Thailand's democracy parties, especially Pertai and Move Forward parties, leading for the upcoming May 14th election. How likely could things change up post-election. We speak with analyst Professor Dr. Kringsat Shalonwongsa.
People can be disqualified prior to election or post-election. And also party irregularity, the way the party handle that is mismanaging, misannouncing their policy, not complying by the rules of party in announcing their policy, and so on. And that could bring some result in dissolving some parties. There's already a large number of parties being lodged in terms of this complaint. And therefore, it depends on the speed of the election commission and also the political court that has the wings in deciding some of these mismanagement or irregularities. And it could be that they may hand the judgment down anytime. Highly unlikely to be now before the election because it's only a week plus from now. But more likely after the election result, there could be annihilation of some of the political parties, and that could really bring some surprise.
Kringsat also did not rule out the possibility of a military coup.
The present coalition formed the government. There could be agitation on the street, protests, and it could escalate into riots. It can escalate into some kind of difficulties for the military to come out to keep peace. Whether they willingly wanted to take over the government by coup d'etat or not, whether they are reluctantly doing it or not, or willfully doing it, there still can be the fourth scenarios of a new government that come from the coup.
The United Nations recognizes clean air as a basic human right. Yet Malaysians are still grappling with air pollution as the haze returns in full swing. Heng Kia Chun from Greenpeace Southeast Asia explores viable solutions to combat transboundary haze once and for all.
Reflood, restore and total protections of peatland is a solution. But how do we do it? So now we also have to tackle it from the supply chain management. That's why a lot of the company, especially from the financial institutions, from the trader, the agricultural businesses, they all have a policy known as NDPE, no deforestation, no peat, no exploitation, which means that in the future, by having this policy, there shouldn't have a new developments on the peat and also showcase the best practices in the forest management, forest and peatland management. And after we found that in our few years investigations, we found that not all the company enforce it. That's why the problem are still happening. So that's why the governments should also regulate it, which means that make sure all these company, including the financial institutions, banker, they also have to walk the talk.
Meanwhile, artist Erna Zakarovich highlighted the value of youth advocacy in the fight for clean air.
Take 10, 20, 30 years from now, they're going to be our politicians, they're going to be our presidents, they're going to be our policymakers. And, you know, if they care about these issues now, they're going to act on it later. And, you know, sometimes in some countries, I'm not particularly pointing out at any country or any politician in particular, but some generations are grown without that concern, you know. They spend their life without having to worry about the haze or deforestation or issues like that. So when they come to a position of power, they do not take this into consideration. So we want to grow a generation who's considerate of that, a generation who's you know, aware, conscious, educated about these issues and capable and able to act on it.
You can catch the full conversation on It's About Youth 10:30 p.m. tonight on Astro AWANI. That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching and have a good weekend.